What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dunk Talk Podcast, episode 48. My name is Dylan Haugen. I'm a 5'11 dunker from Minnesota, and today I'm just here with my co-host Hunter. We're going to be talking about a specific topic. So, Hunter, introduce yourself, and we'll get right into it.
Hey guys, I'm Hunter Castona, 6'1" dunker from Wisconsin. And like he said, we're going to be going through a topic. We'll have some subtopics through it, but obviously we'll have one main one and we're just going to discuss about it. So, Dylan, if you want to get started.
Yeah, guys. So Ben actually requested this topic on the last one, and it's just basically just the effects that social media has had on the dunk world. So just starting off, we'll kind of go through our personal experiences real quick. I obviously, well, both of us kind of grew up in the social media era of dunking. I encountered dunking through social media. Obviously, I lower and stuff, but like I learned about I don't even know. I guess I learned about, Kilgannon through social media, and that kind of like got me going mostly for dunking. So that was kind of the start of it for me. And then obviously, eventually, as I got better at dunking, I also just loved making videos before that. So started posting, and now I do it a lot. So yeah, that's kind of how I started with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously pretty similar. Always loved dunking, but never really knew there was like an actual community behind it. So, obviously found that out. Dylan was one of the first people that I saw. I think Travis was another one. Obviously, Jordan, I watched Jordan Kilgannon for years before that on YouTube. But I didn't know there was really anything on the social media other side, like the Instagram, stuff like that. Um, so I didn't really know anything about that until I was like, hey, I'm gonna start posting. I actually started posting on TikTok before Instagram, which I don't know why I didn't start posting on Instagram as well while I started TikTok, but started posting there. That's how I met Dylan through there. Met some other guys, and then obviously went to dunk camp. Um, but I talked to some of those guys before dunk camp happened, just about different things, tips, whatever. I think it was Dylan, Travis, Donovan, and I want to say Dom. I think those were like the main people that I talked to beforehand, that I knew that were dunkers that I kind of looked up to. Um, and they kind of paved the way for me, for my content and just how I get started. So we can kind of get in that later, but that's kind of how I got introduced to social media. Um, but yeah, I watched a lot of YouTube behind it, but never on the Instagram side of things or in TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think that obviously, again, we didn't really grow up in kind of like the age of like TFB, Slam Nation, stuff like that. I've watched a ton of their stuff on YouTube, but I think mainly the biggest difference is that, to be a professional dunker back in like that time was you just had to be like one of the top guys, like there was only like a few of them. And even then, I don't know like what the pay was like, but just assuming just like because of how much more you can make on social media now, it's probably a lot different. So, I mean, obviously, things like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok have just created so many jobs. Like Instagram obviously doesn't pay a ton, but like having followers on Instagram, like you can get sponsorships and stuff like that. And YouTube is a big one that obviously me and Hunter both do. This podcast is on YouTube, and I think that every single dunker should be on YouTube. So, we're just going to talk about this again real quick. If you are a dunker and you do not post your dunk sessions on YouTube, we most likely don't like you. And I'm kind of joking, but like when you, I keep telling people this, like, think about it. When you are retired from dunking and people like look up your dunks, they're not going to go to Instagram and look up like, Hunter Castona dunks. Like, people just generally aren't going to do that. And there's just so much like randomness on Instagram. So if you really like want to like get your dunks out there, put them on YouTube and they will be seen like for a lot longer. And also you have the highest potential to make money on YouTube. It is so easy to make money on YouTube if you're just consistent with it and you like try hard. So YouTube is a big one. TikTok obviously pays as well for like videos over a minute or something like that if you have 10,000 followers. But mainly like sponsorships have just been huge. So yeah, I think that that's been like a huge thing for dunkers in general is just like having like these ways to kind of like get seen mostly.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's kind of what I was gonna say is it created, like you said, jobs, but it created a lot more opportunities for people as well. Like you said, back in the old days, like with T-Dub, Air up there, all those guys, you just had to be one of the best basically in the world. While as now you can post your stuff and there's guys, young guys that aren't necessarily pro level yet, but they're still up, they're at an elite level, but they're getting these different opportunities going to FIBA, different dunk competitions or shows or whatever, or sponsorships, whatever it may be. They're just getting a lot more opportunities now because they post on social media. If they didn't post on social media, nobody would know who they are. Nobody would follow them. Nobody would do anything with them. So, social media definitely helps you grow. As a dunker, I mean, for really anything that you do, not just dunking, but obviously that's the topic today. But it's just created a lot of different things for people. I mean, Jordan Kilgannon made a living off of it. There's a lot of pros that made a living off of it, obviously, and some up and coming guys are starting to make a living off of it, and they're able to travel the world, go to these different competitions, and meet new people as well. And also just you can get into a community. Well, the dunk community is one of the best communities I think there is. Everybody is encouraging. Everybody is welcoming. Um, Everybody reacts to dunks and whatnot. Like even if you go to dunk camp, you can see it. If you get your first dunk there, there's people going more crazy over your first dunk than Jordan Kilgannon hitting a 360 under both or something. It's just the energy that the dunk community brings to social media and just dunking in general is unreal. And it's a grateful place to be in because again, everybody is encouraging, everybody wants to see everybody succeed. Yes, there's competitions. Yes, there's um what do you call it? Like I said, competitions and whatnot, and everybody's competitive, so they want to be better than the next person and people that are like each other. But again, at the end of the day, we're all friends. We all care about each other, and I mean, we made friendships through that as well. Like some of my best friends or the people I talk to the most are from the dunk community. Dylan and Dom are the perfect two people. I've talked to them for I don't know how long, just on a random day about dunking or just life in general, and I wouldn't have that if I didn't start posting on social media or just being in the dunk community. I wouldn't have been able to have that. So that's another thing that people don't realize is like you can make real friendships from this, and you can just talk to people about anything. It doesn't even have to be about dunking. Like half the time me and Dylan talk, it is about dunking, but the other half is just about different stuff that's happening in our life and whatnot. But again,
Yeah,
at
it's
the end of the
crazy.
day,
It's crazy how
it's
much dunkers have in common, bro.
yeah, yeah, it's actually
Same.
insane. But again, it's just you need to start posting like on anything. It doesn't matter the quality of your content as well. I mean, everybody started at bad quality, bad whatever. It's just how you start. I mean, that's with everything. Obviously, with a lot of the big name guys that you see or the more popular dunkers, not necessarily pros, but like the content creators, their content is really good, but they also started at a point that was probably not very good at all, but they worked for it. And now they're at a place where they, like we said, made a living off of it, get sponsorships, whatever. And it's just, it's a cool thing to be a part of. And like we said, we want to see as much content as well. We love dunking so much. We love seeing other people dunk. So we want to see what you're doing. Obviously, for me, I want to post more, and I've been slacking at that. But also, I feel like my sessions aren't necessarily worth posting for some of them, for especially for my really fatiguing sessions where I'm barely even hitting windmills. Like I don't really think that's gonna get like not really getting to get like views, but also it's just like it's not very fun to watch. Just me just backrimming a bunch of different things and not even getting close to some of the dunks that I've been consistent at for a little bit. But again, that's something I do. I've talked to Dylan about it before too. I want to get consistent. I want to start posting different things like lifts and stuff like that. But again, it's what you make of it too. I mean, you can do what you want, but again, we just love watching the content that people produce. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be reacting videos to dunking, or it could be you actually dunking, lifting, whatever. We all watch it. We all like it. We're all involved in it. So I would just say, just start posting if you haven't already.
Yeah, so going back to a few of the things you said, I think one thing that you said that I tell people a lot and that I really like to tell people is that it really doesn't matter like what your starting point is. Like a lot of people will message me whether it comes to dunking or editing videos and they'll say like, oh, what should I do like to start like, or they'll say like, oh, I think I'm gonna like do it for a while and then start posting. It's like you will never learn unless you post those videos and see them do bad. Like I wish you guys could see some of the first videos I posted. Obviously they're like buried now, some of them are just gone in general, but like they're not good. And I learned from that. Like I would not be in the place that I was in if I never started, obviously. But even if I just did a lot less and like let's just say I waited until like I felt like my videos were good enough, who knows, maybe I was doing something before that was actually going to do really well. So that's why I just always tell people, whether it's, you want to start lowering or dunking, like go do it. Or you want to start posting videos, just start posting them, see what happens, and you will learn from that. Going back to what he said about, how dunking has influenced like jobs and, people making money and stuff. I think there's pretty big misconception on, pro dunkers' wages. I think that a lot of people, especially in the dunk world, think that like pro dunkers make all their money from like just being a dunker. And obviously, I've talked to quite a bit of the like top pros or whatever. And if you guys like just if you really think about it, like guys like Isaiah and Kilgannon are only competing a few times a year. So like there's no way that they would even make close to enough money to like live if it wasn't for social media. And obviously, they also have like coaching and stuff, which is a very big part of their um, money or whatever. But social media has just been so huge for, dunkers making money. And if you think that you can just be the best dunker in the world and not do social media, like you're just wrong. Like first of all, being the best dunker in the world is like very difficult, obviously, but getting there without doing social media is just as hard. So, yeah, like if you do not do social media, you are losing out on a huge like portion of money that you could be bringing in that you're just simply not. So, yeah. Another thing that I was recently, on the phone with Kilgan and talking about is that with content, like creating content, it doesn't, I said something to him like, oh, well, I just got to get better at dunking and then, I'll do better on social media. And, he told me like, that is partially true. Like obviously, if I post a windmill versus Kilgannon posting a windmill on brand new accounts, like zero hashtags, zero followers, whatever, his is obviously going to do better just because it's a better dunk. But at the same time, like guys like Michael Rosanna, like I know that people like don't like him for whatever reason, but like he is a genius when it comes to making content out of dunking. Way too many people, me and Hunter included, just post like raw dunks, which is great. And like obviously that is what I want to watch, but you have to like think about it on a mass scale. Obviously the dunk community wants to see dunks, but the average person scrolling through Reels or TikTok doesn't necessarily want to just see dunks. They want to see like content. And even if they don't want to see like dunking at all, no matter what you do, if you can, do things like, basically rage bait or whatever, like just get them to comment, get them to engage. Like it sounds so stupid to say, but like you need to get engagement on your post and it doesn't matter how you do it. So that's kind of like the first thing I think is just make content out of dunking instead of just posting dunking content.
Yeah, but I mean, to go along with that, just posting as well is a big thing. Being consistent is another big thing to getting more followers, getting seen more. Being consistent with posting is huge because if all of a sudden you just stop posting after a while, I mean, it depends on your circumstance of what is happening through that, but um like people are just going to wonder what happened or they're not going to give you a chance because you're not active. And that's I don't know if that's happened to people. It
And
probably
it's not
has,
even
but
it's not even just people, it's algorithms too. Like if you
yes,
don't
that
post for
too.
a while, Instagram is going to hate you. Like it's
Yes.
just how it goes.
I've seen that plenty of times because again, I've been my training has been fatiguing me a lot. So a lot of my sessions are not the best or to my usual that I feel like I'm at. So I don't post as much and I try to space them out as much as I can. And I've seen drops from not posting for a couple weeks or a couple days or whatever to posting twice a day or not twice a day, sorry. Once every 2 days or something like that. Like even doing that, you can still get good engagement because you're at a consistent basis. Well, let's say I started posting every single one of my dunks from a session every single day, and then I stopped and I didn't have a good session for 2 weeks, and I don't post for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it is, that's gonna tank your algorithm by a ton, and you're not gonna get as many views when you start posting again.
Yeah.
So it just
Good point off
depends
of
on
that
what you have, but
is like I for a while I was thinking like, the quality over quantity thing. I was like, that's stupid. Like or obviously you want to have like a balance, right? Like you want to get a ton of content out there, but at the same time you want it to be decent quality. But recently I've kind of changed my lens on that, and I think that it really depends on which social media we're talking about. For example, Instagram, I can go a week without posting on Instagram, but then if I post like a really good video or like a really good dunk, it's typically going to do good no matter what. On TikTok, on the other hand, I have one account that I just post like some BS on every single day, just like random video. I like don't even edit anything. I just go back to my camera roll, find a dunk, let TikTok choose a sound for me, and it takes like a minute. So I do think you have to kind of know like, what to post and when, because quality over quantity is definitely true, but in some instances you do just want to get like a ton out there. So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So I know we're generally talking about like how social media has changed the dunk game, not necessarily how, you guys should run your social media, but obviously we want to help as much as we can. So hopefully that helps some of you guys. But kind of going back to it, obviously social media hasn't, you know, has changed just everything about dunking. So I think one thing that is super interesting is like before social media, people didn't even like know that there was, well, first of all, pro dunking wasn't really a thing, but even if it, well, it was, but it was a much smaller thing. And now people can kind of see like that there are these guys that are literally better than NBA players at dunking. And some people will still think you're crazy for saying that, but it is 100% true. I mean, obviously, there could theoretically be a better shooter than Steph Curry if like that person only practiced shooting. Like Steph Curry practices a bunch of things. Like if someone literally just dedicated their life to like just shooting, and they ended up being better than Steph, you can't really say like, oh, well, like it's just ridiculous when somebody like dedicates their entire life to something and then, somebody else is like, oh, well, they're not as good because this guy can dribble too. It's like, what? Like that's not what we're talking about? So I do think that that has really changed people's perceptions on like what is possible in dunking. So I think that that's been huge too.
Yeah. Another thing to add on with that is just the actual dunk game itself. It has been leveling up as of lately because of how many people are actually
Dunkflation.
posting their stuff. And also, people are starting to know about dunking more and more every single year. More people are interested in the dunk camps, more people are interested in dunk contests, whatever it is. More people are finding out that dunking is its actual own thing and it's not just part of basketball. Those are two separate things. You see a lot of guys in dunking that are terrible at basketball, but they're really good dunkers. And you see a lot of people in basketball that are really good basketball players, but they can't dunk because they're two different skills. They're at two different skill sets, and that's why there's a thing called dunking, because it's its own thing. There's so many different things in that sport, and we like to call it a sport because we all think it is. It all should be. And like we've had a podcast before with a bunch of guys that were talking about how we can get this elevated to the Olympic level or a team level or just something along the lines where we can elevate dunking not just being a, I guess, like an individual sport, but we can make it something at a bigger stage, but also we can have like teams. Like we kind of tried making dunk teams, which we still have throughout the US. But again, we kind of slacked on that a little bit, but we tried something like that. Actually, I thought it was pretty fun. A lot of guys thought it was fun, but it's just kind of hard to do because everybody's in a different state. Everybody's dunk sessions are different time frames. People are injured. People are this, that, whatever. So it's kind of hard to do
Just
that.
wasn't enough
But
people, yeah.
that too. Like some people weren't able to post or even submit a dunk because again they weren't able to. They were hurt or they just weren't able to complete that dunk in the time frame. So, but again, we as a community are trying to just elevate the dunk game as much as possible, get it as well known as possible, and just let people know about it. Because again, at the end of the day, we all want it to succeed and we all want it to be its own separate sport other than just having it in basketball and to be at a like at that Olympic level, because that would be insane to have Dunky. I think that would be one of the best things to watch if people actually knew about it.
Everyone would want to watch that,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, if you look at even the All-Star weekend, most people are just excited for obviously the All-Star game, but a lot of people are most excited for the dunk contest as long as it's obviously good competition. But you don't see people so excited for the skills competition or the three-point contest. Yes, those are still entertaining, but dunking is just it's a jaw-dropping thing because if you look at statistics, I think it's less than 1% of the US or not US, the world population can actually dunk on an official
Way
rim.
less, yeah, way
It's way
less.
less than 1%. And then obviously the dunks that people are doing in the community, that's even more, way less. But um so having people are just amazed at what people can do with dunking as well because you have to be very coordinated, you have to be very athletic, you have to be strong, elastic. You have to be there's so many different things that you have to be a good dunker that people don't actually take in consideration. And people don't give enough props to obviously the pros, NBA players, whatever it is. And people just don't know the actual work it takes to be good at dunking. They just think, oh, people, it's like genetics. No, a lot of it is hard work. There's been guys
Go watch our
that
podcast about genetics, please.
exactly,
It's a
literally,
good one.
literally go do that.
With the best
Um,
dunker in the world right now.
exactly. Um, Jordan Kilgannon is a perfect example. Like Chuck thought that he would never be to where he's at right now. He thought you had to be born a freak like all these other guys like T Dub and all that stuff that never really worked out or anything like that. But he put in the work. Same with Isaiah. And now they have 50-inch verts and they're the best dunkers in the world and they've done dunks that nobody's ever done in their entire life or seen before because they worked their butts off. And people don't realize that because it's just not a well-known thing yet. And like we have sessions and we have people that comment on our social media and stuff like that that are just like that don't understand that we just literally dunk. People think we play basketball and like get confused when we're just like, oh, why you doing this? Why are you doing that? And we're just like we're just dunkers. We don't play basketball at all. And they think that's like the craziest thing they've ever heard, like a deer in headlights. They don't think that's possible, like that we can't play basketball or that we don't play basketball. We literally just set up a camera and dunk for an hour or two, and that's it.
Exactly.
Like they just can't comprehend that, which I think is just crazy. But again, I understand it as well because it doesn't seem like it should be just a thing that you can just do willy nilly. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hilarious whistle video with
yeah,
Kilgannon and Chuck. Um, but yeah, so we already kind of talked about how, doing social media and dunking can make you money, can get you more recognition, all that stuff. But also, we didn't even talk about if you want to get into dunk contests and people don't see your dunks, you're never going to get into dunk contests. We talked about this one time on here, but it's like no like FIBA scout is going to come to your YMCA and be like, "Oh, you're a crazy dunker. Like we want you to like come whatever." Like that's just not happening. So you like have to get your dunks out there on social media. It's like the only way to do it. So
you
that
need
is
to get
another thing.
noticed.
What?
I said you need to get noticed if you want to take
Exactly,
this
yeah.
to the next level. You have to post, you have to be willing to make content. You have to put your heart and soul into it. You can't just wake up and just be like, "Oh yeah, I kind of want to do this," or "I want to kind of go dunk," or whatever it is. You have to put in the work to do it. That's why all these guys are so successful that are successful is because they put in the work and they found ways that were able to make them money, make them more followers, whatever it may be. They put in the work so that they succeed, and that's why they're higher than a lot of these other guys
Yeah.
because they put in the work.
Yeah. So I know we already talked a lot about, what can, help you grow on social media, whatever. But I think it's just when you look at the trends of like the best dunkers typically have the best social medias. And that's just a fact. Like Kilgannon has, his own website with like merch and stuff. He's got his own coaching. His website is very polished, all that stuff. He's got, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, almost every social media you can think of, posts regularly on them, very high quality content. Isaiah, same thing, very polished website for his coaching. I don't know. No, but he's on like every social media again, very high quality content and does YouTube as well, which he does a lot of, which I love. And so it's just like you look at the trends and you see like, oh, the top guys are doing this, so why would you not be doing the same thing? If you want that to be your job, then you should be trying to emulate what they're doing as much as possible. But also, I would argue that you should be doing even more than them in some aspects because chances are, I mean, you honestly like anyone can be a really good dunker, but like being Kilgan and Isaiah level, is going, you're going to need to take a lot of work and a lot of time to do so. So if you want to like make money doing the same thing as them, you're going to need to be better than them at some aspects that isn't necessarily dunking. So guys like, Killa John, like he's doing something for the Cavs probably right now. Like he's at their halftime show dunking for them. Wouldn't be there without social media. I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. Just plenty of guys. There's so many success stories from doing social media. But yeah,
I
another
mean,
thing.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say like go ahead with or go along with that with just like opportunities that you didn't think you would have. Me posting, I was just posting my dunks because I just felt like I just wanted to post what I could do. And I didn't realize that I would be going to dunk camp. I didn't realize that I would be traveling to Florida. I didn't know I was gonna go to Minnesota, Missouri, all these different places. I didn't know that this was gonna take me this route just by posting on social media. The people that I've met, the things that I've done, the people that have reached out to me, just all these things that when I first started posting, I was like, oh yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's only for the best guys in the world to be able to happen to. No, it can happen to you. You like we said, you have to put in the work, and then also you just have to take risks, take chances. That's what a lot of these posts are, and that's what a lot of these people are doing is that they're taking risks to be more successful. That's what you have to do. I mean, I can't think of anything right now, but I mean, you can tell anybody that they've taken risk on different things. Jordan is probably taking he's taking risk on merch and it's successful. Um, Training, you could ask that for John and Isaiah. You could ask that about Jordan. All these people you can ask about their different opportunities that they got that it wouldn't have happened without posting on social media or knowing people from the community that like brought them into whatever it was. So just posting, you just never know what's going to happen if you start posting and
Yeah,
how far it can actually take you. That's one thing I don't think people actually realize that what do you call it? That when we start posting or like with that where we're at right now, we were at where they were at. We were at the bottom where we had no followers. We had nobody contacting us. We had nobody knowing who we were in the dunk community or just in the world. And now there's all eyes on us. There's different people reaching out, companies. Dylan gets shoes sent to him almost weekly now, or just different products weekly. Like I'm not trying to be funny either. Like that's just what it is. I mean, he worked
yeah,
for that. It's not like he obviously he's getting stuff handed to him, but he also never got that when he first started. But now that he's posting so much and he's gotten so many followers and stuff like that, people trust him and that his content so well enough that he just gets stuff sent for free and he does free promos for them and whatnot. But I mean, he's getting dunking stuff for free because he started posting many years ago, which he probably never thought would have happened when he first started, or he never thought that he would be one of the best
yeah.
17-year-old dunkers in the world right now
I gotta chill
because
on
of
the shoes, bro. I got so
he's
many.
he's got a lot. He's kind of got a problem. I'm not gonna lie,
I
but
think I have like over 40 now, bro. Stupid. But
but
I've been
yeah,
giving a lot away, to be fair. So
yeah,
about like half the shoes I've been getting, I just give away. So it's not that bad. But yeah, dude. I mean, like he said, I mean, you connect with so many people, and not just people, but like he said, brands. Like I've got to do some things like with brands that I never thought that I'd be able to do things with, like Way of Wade. Like I got something sent to me from freaking Nike and Degree one time, like, and I'm not even that big either. I have like 100,000 followers combined across all social media platforms. So like imagine, what opportunities you get at a million. So it's just there's just so much room to grow. But I do think that one thing that me and Dennis Yu have been talking about, if you don't know who that is, look up his name on Google and you will see he's a freaking genius when it comes to anything online. But, he talks a lot about, building a personal brand basically. And that is something that so many dunkers miss out on. So we're going to be doing a lot on that in the future. Actually, I'm going to have some stuff with him going here pretty soon. But if you are a dunker and you are not building your personal brand, you are not getting your name out there, you are not going on podcasts, like what me and Hunter are doing right now, like I don't even mean to like, say this. I don't want to say it in the wrong way, but what we are doing right now is going to be so good for us in the future because we are getting so much content out there. And then what you can do is you can take that content, repurpose it, turn it into short form videos, turn it into articles, turn it into like websites, all this stuff, get your name out there, and then, your confidence score on Google and all these things is just boosted insanely high. So You definitely want to get as much content out there as possible about you. Obviously, positive content. So don't go out there, do stupid stuff and expect for that to help you. But just literally anything, getting on podcasts, doing dunk session videos, Instagram, whatever. If you have any ideas, I always encourage people to just do them. This podcast was so random. I literally
Dude,
just thought about it one day
yes.
and I was like, oh, I want to do a podcast. I sat down on this chair for 7 hours straight and I did everything that I needed to do to get a podcast going. I'm not exaggerating at all. It was 7 hours straight.
And then you just asked me one day, he's just like, hey, want to do the podcast? I was like, sure, why not? I have nothing
Yeah,
better to do.
done.
Like,
And now we have
and
almost 50 episodes, and the amount of content that can be made out of these 50 episodes is insane. So it's like if you have an idea, go and do it. I don't want to act like this podcast is like a, crazy thing because we literally make nothing doing this, but it is fun. And again, we are getting a ton of content out there on our names, which is extremely important for success on social media and especially in dunking because dunking is hard to make money on if you don't do social media. So,
yeah. And one thing I'll say that we probably don't realize is that this is actually growing the dunk community. This is growing dunking in a whole,
exactly.
or as a whole, I should say, not in a whole. Um, but that's that. And when we started this, or when Dylan came to me about it, I didn't think, well, hey, we're gonna grow the dunk game. We're gonna get so many followers. We're gonna get so many different whatever. We didn't think that. We were just doing it because we love dunking that much that we just wanted to talk to people about their journeys, about reacting to stuff. Well, the whole podcast was supposed to be just about um asking people about their journeys and stuff. And now we're reacting to dunking videos. Now we're talking about different podcast or different topics of just me and Dylan in here now. There's so many different ideas that we can do with this podcast that we didn't even think about when we first started. And that's that. And if we never started this, we wouldn't be where we're at right now, too. You wouldn't be having Jordan Kilgannon on a podcast talking about his journey, Isaiah. You wouldn't have all these other guys that you don't know yet because they don't. I mean, they're posting, but again, we're just letting people know about their journey, and it's also cool to see how the dunk community has come together and what they've done to be involved in the community as well. Which is why we love it so much, is because we get to listen to people's stories that a lot of the time you don't get to see on social media, like on their social media. They don't really post about, I mean, some post about progression and stuff like that, but really hearing like the roots of
Yeah.
like where they came from, genetics, what sports they played, how they got into dunking, inspiration, stuff like that. Like that's just unheard of.
Dunkers Dunkers don't do
Yes,
enough of it. Again, that's like why we're doing this. And I encourage all of you to do it on your own too. Like don't just wait till I get on the podcast. Like go and do it because people want to hear about it clearly.
yes,
Um, I do want to do one more thing, pros and cons about social media. And it's, whatever it's called and what it's done to the dunk community. I do think that it's generally been a positive. I mean, it has brought so many more people to dunking. It has, encouraged so many more people to again post their dunks, which again gives people opportunities, stuff like that. It's, literally made dunking a career because again, dunking isn't a true sport yet. I, believe it should obviously, but just the simple fact is you cannot make enough money just doing dunking at this point in time. You have to do social media and other stuff in general most of the time, unless you're like top one in the world, which is just not realistic for a lot of people. So I'd say that's obviously the first pro, I'd say.
yeah. I would say a con would be you can get caught up into it too much, which I had happen. Meaning you fall into a hole basically where you're only worried about social media and that's like your only presence in life and or identity in life. And I kind of went through that where I was just like, I just need to post the best content. I just need to get stuff out. And I just need to be on social media just every single day, 24/7, whatever it is. And I got to a point where I got so burnt out that when I started posting, I didn't have ideas in my head of what to post. I had really good dunks to post, but I didn't have ideas to make those a post and make them good enough. Like I was having for each of my sessions, if it was a good session, I could make 10 videos easily out of a session. Whereas if I had a really good session, I would maybe have like two or three because I got so burnt out and I was just way too involved in social media, which like we said, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like being involved is a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing because like mental health or whatever. But I took a break and I just came back a month later and I was completely fine. And my dunking actually got way better after that. And my ideas started flowing again just because I took a break from that. So I would say one thing is like you can get a little bit too caught up into
Yeah.
social media, which again, it's how much you actually are posting, how much you're watching it. Because I know a lot of people like to just scroll and whatnot. So, um, but just
Don't be
make
that
sure
person.
that yeah, just make sure that your what your purpose on social media is a good purpose, not just endlessly scrolling on stuff, which I know I have done many of
Yeah,
times before.
for sure.
I'm guessing a lot of people on this or listening to this have done this many of times too. But just be cautious of like how much you're actually engaging in
Yeah.
and how much you're actually doing because you can get burnt out.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, I know neither of us have like had like any like real mental health problems really, but like
Yeah,
for sure
no.
like with me like I've just gotten like so I don't even know what the right word is, just like caught up in it and just like kind of like convince myself that like it's not possible. You know, like I like see myself and like I see all these people like telling me like, "Oh, you know, you've got a ton of potential, like you're good, whatever." But then like I watch like the best dunkers in the world and I'm like, "Oh, like I am not that," you know? And then it's just like you can kind of like lead yourself down like the wrong path of thinking that way. And so I would say that is a con of social media. It can bring a lot of people to dunking, but it can also kind of like discourage people. And overall, I just want you to know, like, I think we covered it a little bit in the genetics podcast, but like, no matter what you're at, no matter what your genetic peak or potential is, just try to get there. And it's going to be fun no matter what. I might not be the best dunker in the world, but I can guarantee you that I'm going to get very close and I'm going to try very hard and I'm going to yeah. And I'm gonna try to just, you know, do my best. So that's really all it is just don't get too caught up in it. And if you don't get too caught up in it, it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah. I think that generally wraps it up, guys. If you have any more topics for us like this one that you want us to discuss, make sure to drop them in the comments. If you're new, make sure to subscribe, leave a good review if you're on Spotify or Apple. And yeah, if you guys again, just thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
See ya.